Two more questions, brother. There seems to be a divide in opinion between the black community and the white community. When I watch Ancient Aliens on television, they talk about the Anunnaki, and they talk about how the Anunnaki built the pyramids. When I go into what you would call the black conscious community, you hear the esoteric speakers saying that the Anunnaki are our ancestors. We are the Anunnaki. They weren't no foreign entity that came and enslaved us and made us mine for gold. So I want to get your perspective to clarify a little bit for those who may watch TV, that may watch some of the speakers on YouTube and say, damn, they're saying two different things about the Anunnaki. Who were the Anunnaki? Could you give us some clarification on who the Anunnaki was, brother?
Well, the Homo erectus came into being. So who we would have been in terms of the hominoid of the hominid is far extinct, and what we were graduating into ephemerally, we would probably still be hunched over to a certain degree. So the Anunnaki, to me, are responsible for religion. They're responsible for the Old Testament. They're responsible for the flood. They're responsible for Sodom and Gomorrah. All of the atrocities that you read about in the Old Testament. They are responsible for playing games with Moses and making him go back and forth, wander in the wilderness for 40 years. That was the Anunnaki. The Anunnaki also are responsible for the bizarre genetic experiments when they combined animals and men with minotaurs and certain of these other strange-looking creatures that are in mythology. They are the parents of our current form. They are also the ones that unplugged the 12-strand DNA. They are also the ones that placed the frontal lobe inside of our consciousness. They unplugged our DNA because they didn't want us to live long enough to start to put the pieces together to the puzzle that they are the gods of the Bible instead of postulating as the creator. That is the grand crime that they committed. The Anunnaki are the ones that broke the heavenly decrees not to mate with the daughters of earth that it tells you about in the Bible, creating giants in the land. I've seen the skeletons that range anywhere from 10 feet to 36 feet tall. These are real beings that walk the face of the earth. So everybody wants to lay claim and say that they were black, they were white. Everybody wants to proclaim that they are a certain blood type that they think belongs to these beings. I really don't know who they are. And they also want to lay claim that Tahuti, or Lord Thoth, who actually is one of my divine fathers, that he's one of them. I do not believe that either. They will say that Ningashita is Lord Thoth and Ra is Marduk, which is a joke. I think that a lot of what Zechariah Ascension says is it resonates, but some of it does not. The same way if you read the Alien Bible or the Urantia book, a lot of that is completely off-world. You know that the minute that you read it, but there's also a major infraction where they don't really talk about black people in the Urantia book. They talk about the blue people and they talk about black people as if we were really dumb creatures. And I know that when that was revealed in the 30s, that was someone's racism that entered it into the book. But they talk about the red race, the orange people, the green people, and the blue people. It's a very, very interesting read. So that's who the Anunnaki are, and they are responsible for a lot of the things that we deal with. They were homosexuals. They actually gave that to this world. Wrestling actually comes from them. Jewelry, watches, agriculture. There's a lot of things that they brought down from their planet and introduced to this world. And the proof of it is in the cylindrical clay tablets, of which they had over tens and thousands of them. Also, it's very interesting to note that these cylindrical clay tablets, although discovered in modern-day Persia or Iraq, they had information about things and the goings-ons that happened here on Ea or Earth or Terrestis back in 450,000 years ago. That's a very, very long time ago. And that disturbs the very paradigm that our world basically adheres to in the form of religion, which basically means that we are believing in Santa Claus still. And we have to come out of that impediment.
Last question, brother. I want to touch on, I want to talk about the central sun. From my research from certain scholars, it appears as if we emanate from the sun. The sun that we see in the sky is a portal. This whole universe is a holographic projection made possible by the portal of the sun. We emanate from the central sun down into this reality in order to experience the illusion of time and space. So yourself, you get to experience love through somebody who appears to be outside of you. Let's say a woman, she appears to be outside of you, but it's really the love within you projecting itself within her, so you could experience only happen. How am I trying to say this? They say God knows, the grand creator of all of this knows itself, but it wanted to know itself experientially. And the only way you could do that is to have a relationship with somebody. And if God is everything, if the all is everything, I am is everything, you're everything. You can't experience yourself outside of yourself. So you got to play a game on yourself where you act like you're separate from yourself. So you project yourself in this reality, and you meet women, you may buy a car, you may, all these emotions that you go through just to have a relationship with something. I want you to touch on that aspect and tell us what you know about the central sun.
The central sun is the father to our physical sun here. The sun is a star. It's a generator. It's a self-luminous being that gives life to the revolving planets, whether you want to think that they are 9 or 12. We actually had a planet that destroyed itself and is part of our Van Allen belt. It's called Melina or Maldek. We also had another planet that ascended, and it's called Vulcan. Everybody that lived on that planet immediately became a god upon their ascension. Those are some of the beings that come back and work with us and give us information about how we can be successful in our ascension. The great central sun is the mother father to the aspect of our physical sun that we rely on every day. If you compare our sun to our planet, it's many, many times bigger. Yet and still, if you compare our sun to XY Canis Majoris, our physical sun would be less than a fraction of a grain of sand on that planet. Now, here's the question I want to ask you, Brother Rich. Imagine the beings that live inside of that planet and how major they are. What I will tell you after the question is, any being that lives on that planet, and I guarantee you that there's life on that planet, it is the largest planet known, which means that there are other planets that are probably many times bigger than that we wouldn't even be able to perceive. The same way you would not be able to perceive, or an ant would not be able to perceive me picking it up and moving it from one place to another, because I am just too big. And the antennas of the ant will not allow to perceive something that's that big. Yet and still, they will get the benefit of the crumb that I drop onto the ant hill. So the beings that may or may not be alive inside of the interior of a planet that big would be bigger than anything that you think God is. In reality and paradoxically, the gods of the Bible, of which there are 3, were not even creator gods. They were master geneticists and demigods that still elicited the deficits of jealousy, hate, lust, have no other gods before me because I am a jealous God. Real creator gods do not have human deficits or attributes because they're way beyond that. So the central sun is the place where the primordial aspect of ourselves emanate from. Here's the paradigm. Brother Rich, if a hair fell off of your head, would you miss it? Why not? The primordial aspect of ourselves is that being. Our physical body is the hair on the head of that being, less than that. So if you never make it back to the primordial part of who you were before the beginning began, it doesn't matter to that being, because that being is in a world that's already complete. Yet and still, your ascension is contingent upon you regaining connection with the mother starship of who you are. Now, the funny part about this whole axiom is that the creator of all is not God. The creator of all is not a creator God. The creator of all is nothing that we could come close to even fathoming on our best day. Therefore, we have to capitulate to dealing with the creator's children, who are the gods of mythology, and they even have divine parents. And that's what angels, gods, and altars is all about. And I'm going to go deeply into that so that we can follow the harmony of what the creator intended when he created the multiverse.
Last question, brother. With that being said, some people feel as though they'll say, I am a God with a little g. Some people feel as though I am the God. Now, for my research, because you're talking about, you know, the grand creator of all of this, and then you're talking about parents and this, and, you know, it's like a hierarchy almost. Almost like, you know, like a movie the creator's playing on itself, you know, and everybody has roles, but they all belong to that creator at the end of the day, it almost seems. My question to you, brother, if me standing here, I'm just a projection. That's all I am, is a projection. I feel as though I am that creator. Because who I am, the essence of my being is divine consciousness. What you see in front of you is just a projection. So, with your knowledge and what you study, brother, are we a God or are we the God?
That's a great question, and I hope that I still have this right here. Okay. I brought this because I knew I would need it today. You see this right here? Okay. That is an acorn. Now, most people on this planet are in this infinitesimal form. Now, if this thing started talking and saying that I'm a full-grown tree, it would be a lie. Because this is not a full-grown tree. This is the potential of a full-grown tree. When humans say that they are gods, the real gods laugh. Because gods can use 100% of their potential. But yet and still it is a scientific fact that humans use less than 10%. And that's being kind. I believe it's really more like 3%. 97% of science says that our genes are junk DNA. Another scientific fact. So we don't even understand the nuances and subtleties, and we can't read the higher signatures of solid, liquid, gas, ether, ether 4. We don't even have names for that. We don't even know what the higher senses names are. And I'm not talking about clairaudient, clairsentience, teleportation, or teleconometry, or ESP. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about knowing your ability to read something from the stars of outer space. Like the blind woman said that, you know, there was an example that Drunvalo Melchizedek talked about when he said that there was a woman who was blind and says, oh, I could see you just fine. He says, how is that? She said, well, I can see from outer space. How can you do that? So he has a friend at NASA, and she says, I could tell you the serial number to the corresponding satellite that's right over our head right now. He calls his friend at NASA and says, okay, could you give me here are my coordinates. Could you give me what the satellite serial number is? He asked the lady, and she read it from seeing it in outer space. What sense is that, Brother Rich? And that's a rhetorical question. So until we learn how to deal with the reality that we are not gods yet, it is a faction of the ego that make us think that we are, and we can't produce a golden statue out of the tapestry of nothing, yet and still there are masters that can do that. There are masters that can disappear. There are masters that don't eat or drink. They're breatharians. But here's another one. There are people walking around in a human container that don't even need to breathe, but they're not advertising that. So my point is, the human frailty is what needs to anthropomorphize the need to be something that it clearly isn't. To me, the beginning of divine wisdom is to realize where you are, the way this acorn is in its infinitesimal form. But if it follows the protocol of harmony and creation, law and order, it will grow into the expanse of a full-grown tree. My point is, humans have a template of a God inside of them. We also have wings. We have a spaceship inside of us. We have a Merkaba inside of us. We have many different forms that have not yet to be evolved. And if you're stuck here in this corporeal mud that we call life, you are not a God, because you would not be here. You wouldn't have the need for this physical form. So I could debate anyone for an hour just on that topic alone. And I don't mean to be bellicose. Huh?
You got a lot of debate to do. The whole New Age movement is based on that. Esther Hicks, Abraham, Seth, Jane Roberts, they all talk about God wants to explain.
My thing, okay, no, that's very different from saying that I am a God and the reality of who the gods are, and saying that you are of that. And meanwhile, like I said before, and I don't mean to deduce the nature of why we're here, but the reality is we have to be honest and deal with the facts. We have a very long way to go. And for a little child that's looking for a lollipop and kicks his mother in the shins and has a temper tantrum, that's what we represent at this moment. When you look at extraterrestrials, they don't have mouths and they don't show emotion because they've evolved beyond the need to express and deal with emotions. Not that they don't feel it, but they've worked on a finer way to perceive so that they don't have to act out. It's been bred out of them. And that's the human consciousness is not ready for that yet. We live on a world where we still lie to each other for entertainment. Most of the shows are built on how we can artfully deceive someone and laugh at it. We have video games where we kill each other. We have starvation. We have rape, torture, lies, deceit. We laugh. I look on World Star Hip Hop or Facebook. I came across some guy that he punched some dude in the face and the guy fell out, and everybody around, all the kids were laughing and jumping up and down, and they thought it was hilarious. Meanwhile, this guy could have been dead. He could have had an aneurysm or a brain injury. And all of those guys probably would have went to jail. So we're living on a very barbaric, backwards planet that we have a very long way to go. And the very first place that we should begin is realizing who we really are and that we have a long way to go.
Give your contact info, brother.
I'm Gano Grills for Galighticus.com. The seminar will be January the 9th at the Mist building, and the information is on Galighticus.com. You can subscribe to the Galighticus YouTube channel. I have over 130 videos on anything spiritual, metaphysical, esoteric, arcane, or occult. And this will be an empowerment that will last you for 16 years. It's a powerful way to begin your 2016, like I said before, which will be a series of 4s. There will be celestial activations for anyone who wants to have one. That alone is worth your time coming. And then the very next day, there will be a Kundalini Reiki activation where I will awaken the Kundalini that sits at the base of your spine. And you can begin to use that as a divine mechanism and really turn on some of your dormant faculties. That will be January the 10th, but you have to be registered first before January the 4th, and give this as a gift to yourself. Give it as a gift to someone else. Show the divine world that you're serious about your emancipation and your spiritual enlightenment. And that's what Galighticus and myself have to offer you. Empowerment, enlightenment, enrichment, and expansion. The 4 E's. It's all a gift that comes through from the divine worlds, higher beings, so that you could turn your world into something that is a paradise on earth, not a world of chaos, confusion, and disinformation. Peace. All right.